Hi folks, I'm George Valentine. I'm the author of the Job Hunting Hero Method and the Job Hunting Toolkit. And I'm here to talk to you about owning it. Owning the work that you do. Because unless you can show an employer, even often without them asking about it, unless you can show an employer that you own what you do, it's very hard to land a job. For example, you have to show that you understand that sometimes you make mistakes. Well, what do you do when you make those mistakes? How do you correct them? If somebody points out the mistake that you've made, do you settle back, take a good look in the mirror and say, you know, they're right, I'm wrong? Because there are a lot of people out there that have trouble with the phrase, I'm sorry. One of the difficult things in texting back and forth to people is that if you text, I'm sorry, you don't really know if it hits in the gut or not. An employer has to know in the look on your face, before you even make a mistake, that you're the kind of person who will say, I'm sorry, and you'll grow from it. A lot of people don't take responsibility for their actions. They find someone else to blame. An employer doesn't want that employee. They want the person who will grow from their mistakes. Can you give an example of a mistake that you made and how you grew from it? A lot of times folks who are in athletics, folks who are involved in community projects have examples of that to show. Do you? Next one up, what is the worst part of the job? Describe a job that you've had. What was the worst part about it? It shows a couple things. First of all, that you're honest. Yeah, I didn't like it when I had screaming kids when I was working in the diner. But this is how I handled it. I didn't like having to work a double shift, but I did it anyway because that was expected of me. What was the worst part about the job, and how did you solve it? That way it shows not only do you acknowledge that there is a worst part of the job, not only do you understand that there is some humility about it all, but it shows that you're a problem solver. Anyone can complain. It takes someone special to grow from it. They want to know that you're that someone special. And finally, the unexpected. This one I love. You see, there used to be, Hyman Rickover was the father of the nuclear navy. And he had what he was the father also of the stress interview. What he used to do was he had to hire naval officers during World War II. Very tough. He had to find people who could work well under stress. So he bolted a chair to the floor. And then when people would come in, he would ask them to move the chair up to the table. And when they realized that there was no way that they could do it, how do they react? How do they react to the unexpected? A lot of times an employer will ask you a series of, here's a situation, how would you handle it? Just to see the look on your face, just to see if you're going to be all right with it. One of the things that I used to do as an employer was after a job interview, I would say, and the person is relaxing and they're all set, they're ready to go home, they're already picturing what they're having for dinner, and I say one last thing, and I hand them a test. The test didn't tell me as much as if I watched their eyes. If they said, here, let me see that test, and grabbed it and started writing on it, that tells me something about the character of the person. If they instead said, oh, a test, and their eyes rolled to the back of their head, that taught me something too. That taught me that that person is going to leave just as they came, unemployed. Folks, understand that you have to understand and express your mistakes. Explain what the worst part of the job was and how you solved that. And finally, expect the unexpected, because they're trying to look past the mask that most folks put on in an interview to see how you would react. Please, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and come on back. We'll see you again.